These are my notes on the Old Testament according to the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And by saying my notes, I'm putting my comment on their audio program. Joshua chapter 1. Continue in the direction of the path, regardless of who lives or what time it is. Joshua chapter 2. News will spread of amazing occurrences, but those who grasp the spiritual importance and live it will be rewarded accordingly. Joshua 3. Timing is essential. Joshua 4. Material items may be collected to mark events over them. Joshua 5. Ritual genital mutilation was done to the children born after the Exodus from Egypt. Yes, there is Jewish tradition about doing it to the girls as well. And from a medical standpoint, it's not any more needed for the males than the females. Or, I mean, it's just as rare for it to be a medical necessity. Assess the situation before reacting. Mark the occurrence of holiness by your regard for clothing. Joshua 6. Circumambulations and noise can build up their effects. Not all destruction is for the purpose of rebuilding. Joshua 7. It is not for a chosen people to take the object of false cults, nor to presumptuously take of war booty. Burning to death is the Judeo-Christian punishment for their support of such idolatrous objects, and stoning for the theft of government treasure. Joshua 8. Judeo-Christian law involves seeking out the leaders and sources of these cults and to kill all the people. They believe in ritually killing the leaders by hanging, display, and piling stones over the corpse, for setting up an altar of unhewn stones with scripture on them. Blessings and curses are repeated afresh amongst the unhewn stone altar. That's really what it teaches. I'm not saying that go off and hunt down the people of different religions. I'm just saying this is Joshua 9. Israel worked with other tribes to conquer and take part in the communal worship if they believed in the promise and power of Yahweh. Joshua 10. Meteors and strange sights in the sky have decided battles. Joshua 11. Judeo-Christian law calls for the disabling of work animals captured in war and destruction of the tools. Gaza, Gath, and Ashdod was where people survived the genocide. Joshua 12. I can't help but interpret the 2 Eastern kings and 31 Western ones, because of the 33 total, as symbolic of a gigantic ascent to autonomy. We can also think of, the teeth in the skull. Joshua 13. Levites were to be beyond having rights to territory. Joshua 14. Tribes only deserve their inheritance in righteousness. Joshua 15. Not all approaches should be direct. Joshua 16. Different tribes must go different ways. Not all they encounter should be driven out or killed. Joshua 17. Not all inheritances should be equal. Joshua 18. Shiloh became the place for the formerly portable temple. Joshua 19. The inheritance of some is divvied out by some heirs. Joshua 20. The refuge for unintended harm requires that is required to testify before a judge that will live as long as his refugee status. Joshua 21, suburban and rural life is for food production. Joshua 22, not all our altars are for burning or sacrifice. There are ones that confirm a division that must go elsewhere in a central location. Joshua 23, don't marry rejectors of your main faith principles, so not the goy, but make yourselves a nation unique in righteousness. Joshua 24, darkness and other aspects of separation were signs for people meant to be totally set apart in their non-abrogated service of divinity. So, temple periods is one thing that the common sense of it gets wrong, because you had the period where they wandered with the tabernacle, and then the period where they didn't, where they settled with the tabernacle. And it's thought that with both of those, there were a pair of heifers offered. So you have two temple pyramids. And then you have the Solomonic temple. But the first two are called, so that's a stationary. So you have the tabernacle, and then you have the Solomonic temple. So in general, that's two, but you can consider that three. And then you have two Israelite temples. After the return, and those were the two the Israelite temples. And so then you have the two temples of the Jews. One was with the return from Babylon from some people, and influence with the Moabites, and basically starting of Judaism as we know it. And some people will talk about the Maccabees, but their rededication might not have been a further sacrifice. But so that was one temple period. And the Romans, the Bar Kokhba revolt, that was another one. So you're looking at least two Israelites and two Jewish temple periods. So this third temple period, well, third group of temple periods, of course, you have the Muslim role, where they open it to anybody who's willing to wear pants and not do weird rituals with dogs in the middle, or they're pretty open to people of the different faiths using it. So, there's that thing. So why are we turning against that?